Well, hello, and thank you everyone for joining us. The Southeast Mental Health Technology Transfer Center is pleased to present today's webinar event, Peer Workforce Wellbeing in the Southeast. My name is Emily Moore, and I will be moderating today's event. Please note that the work of our center, I'm sorry, Chris, next slide. Thank you. Please note that the work of our center is supported by a grant from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA. Next slide, please. And also note that our center and the larger MHTTC network all use affirming, respectful, and recovery-oriented language in all of our activities. Next slide. The Southeast Mental Health Technology Transfer Center is proud to serve the 8 states in HHS Region 4. Our expertise in public health programs, systems, research, and evaluation provides a unique lens through which we can address mental health priorities. We encourage you to visit the Southeast MHTTC website to learn more about our center and upcoming events, including another well-being focused event entitled Building a Better Resilient Workplace Together on Thursday, August 5th. Next slide, please. A few important notes to review before today's event. This event is being recorded and will be made available on our website for on-demand viewing soon. We encourage you to share your comments throughout the presentation using the chat feature. Please remember to select chat with all attendees if you would like to share your thoughts with everyone. We have allotted time at the end of our presentation to answer some questions. Please submit your question using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen or in the chat. Finally, for participants who are interested, a certificate of attendance is available for download after completion of our evaluation surveys. Thank you so much from the Southeast MHTTC. I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Sherry Jenkins Tucker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emily. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you. I'm Sherry Jenkins Tucker, the Executive Director of the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network and a certified peer specialist. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what that means for me is I do what I need to do every day to take care of myself so I can suit up and show up for my life. I am so happy that the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network could be working with the Southeast Mental Health Technology Transfer Center on all of this wellness work, and I am delighted to welcome you all to Peer Workforce Wellbeing in the Southeast. I'd like to turn it over to Chris Johnson.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sherry. My name is Chris Johnson. I am a person in long-term recovery. What that means for me is it's been a little over 11 years since my substance use or other mental health concerns prevented me from leading a full, productive, and rewarding life. Today, I am a taxpayer. I'm an active member of my family. I'm a homeowner, and I'm a dog taker-carer. He's snoring over there. I don't know if you can hear him, but he is my moral support today, as are the members of the fabulous team that we put together to provide some information on wellness and well-being here in the Southeast. It really is, for me, this summer has been a great summer for wellness because it has been over 90 degrees only a few times. And in the Southeast, that means a lot to me. So I'm happy to be here today. And now I am going to turn it over to my friend Rosalind. Roz?
Thank you, Chris, and good morning, everyone. My name is Rosalind Hayes, and I am a person in long-term recovery. And what it means for me, it's been over 12 years since my mental health concerns, including my substance use challenges, have prevented me from living a full, purpose-filled, and productive life. Today, I'm a homeowner, a taxpayer, and an asset to my community. I am a daughter that my mother is very proud of, and the coolest aunt ever, according to my nephews. I'm the Director of Peer Support and Training for the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network, and I speak out loud about recovery because it's important that mental health recovery is recognized and honored, and because maintaining and sustaining long-term recovery is the most important thing that I do on a daily basis for my personal recovery. And so we will I'm very happy to be here and to be having this conversation. And so we'll go ahead and dive in with the first slide, please. And just asking the question, what is wellness? On a personal level, when we were given, this topic, I was like, wow, I was thinking about it, and lots of things were revealed to me. And thinking about wellness, understanding that it really is an active process. It's something that I have to participate in daily. It's an active process of ongoing, it's an ongoing process of choosing and doing the things that promote health and fulfillment in one's life. And it's an individualized process. It's self-directed. And so all of these things, this is what we talk about when we're talking about recovery. And so I get to decide what those things are and how I'll go about reaching the goals that I have towards unleashing my ultimate potential. And that's what wellness, like if we can do it all and put it all together, it gives us opportunity to truly live our best lives. The practice of wellness, it's something that's affirming, and it encourages positive experiences. And so, how it is, in thinking about our recovery, and it's like, you go for a certain amount of time, you maintain. That's why we mark time, for folks. Or we think about, it's been this amount of time since I had a hospitalization, or these kinds of things. And those things build on our ability to do it again. We feel better and we gain confidence as we take these steps towards our wellness. They build and build and build and give us the motivation to continue. And so wellness really is that pathway that moves us from surviving to really thriving and having the life that we want for ourselves. Next slide, please. And it's about more than just being free from illness. A lot of times we think about wellness and, we think about our physical health. Those of us in recovery, certainly think about our mental well-being. And so thinking about wellness, it's a total package that is beyond illness, or beyond just being illness free. Most sources that you look at, if you just Google wellness, you'll see, different levels or dimensions or things that they're talking about. You might see five levels, or, 6 aspects. For our purposes today, we'll be talking about 7 dimensions of wellness. And when we look at it, it really is about the full integration and the continued pursuit of these things, and finding balance with these 7 dimensions, and recognizing and understanding how each one, they overlap each other, and each one has an impact on our physical and mental well-being. And, there can be times when, like I said, they overlap, but there can be times when, one of these dimensions is more prominent than the other. However, I found it to be true that, if we're neglecting any part of our wellness for any length of time, we really feel it. We can feel those adverse effects. And so thinking about these 7 dimensions of wellness, we see the first one is physical, and like I said, that's the one when we have this conversation, that's the one that immediately comes to mind, understanding and recognizing that need for physical activity, what is it, diet and exercise, we hear that all the time, diet and exercise. And so thinking about our physical wellness, it's about physical activity, it's about healthy eating, and about sleep. Again, like we said, it's this ongoing process, and so it's making those choices to take in things into our body that are going to enhance our health, or that are going to feed us, and staying away from those things that are going to create problems for us, and we know some of those things, and or smoking, drug use, alcohol use, any of those things. And as folks in recovery, we're well aware of the damage and the stress that these things put on our bodies. And so being physically fit and feeling physically well is optimized through that combination of good eating, good exercise, and sleep. And if we're able to do these things, it's nothing like, waking up in the morning after a good night's sleep and that feeling of, I can take on the world, we feel better about who we are. If I'm working out, it's something I've been trying to do lately, just looking good. I feel better about my physical appearance, which, enhances my self-esteem. I feel better about my ability to have some control in my life. I don't have to eat Popeye's fried chicken, 3 times a week. I really don't. I can eat, I can eat a salad. I can eat more healthy, and I can make these choices, which gives me that sense of direction and self-determination. And again, these things, each one builds on the next one. Thinking about emotional well-being, being able to really cope effectively with life, and build connections and satisfying relationships, being able to express my feelings in a healthy way. And for me, I'll talk about me, and I know this is, directed towards peers in the workplace. And this emotional area is one for me that, requires vigilance and lots of work. I didn't learn how to have healthy relationships, initially, things that impacted my life. And we talk about the impact of trauma, those things get in the way of our emotional wellness. And so really, this might be one of those areas, that is prominent, and I know in my life, it's one that I really have to take care of, because we're talking about, our relationships with ourselves, we're talking about our relationships with other people, our coworkers, our family members, our intimate relationships, all of those things, and dealing with those emotions that come up as we just try to navigate life. Those are the things that we're talking about when we're talking about emotional well-being. Now, the next one you see on the list is environmental. And that one, might give you a little bit of pause. What exactly, is environmental wellness? And so I'll tell you, environmental wellness is really about us in our surroundings. Are we safe? Are we comfortable? Can we fulfill our desires in this environment, right? And beyond that, beyond our personal relationship with the environment, as far as our personal safety and things of that nature, it's also talking about our relationship to the earth. How do we take care of our community? How do we take care of, this planet that we have that's under such duress, and being responsible and making choices that really help sustain the environment. And so, am I personally safe, and am I personally comfortable? And then I have a responsibility to take care of and be a good steward of, this earth and this space that I occupy. Moving on from there, we have spiritual well-being, and I know we'll talk, more about that a little later on. But this is really about, those questions. Why am I here? What is the purpose of life? And really thinking about those things and expanding our sense of purpose and meaning in life. Why are we here? And what can I contribute? And so just thinking about that and developing that kind of deep appreciation for, the world that's around us, the awe of the universe. Spiritual wellness is the ability to establish some peace and harmony in our lives. And becoming spiritually well also really means striving for consistency with our values and beliefs, being who we say we are, doing what we say we do, and living a life that not only, or they say that we're not just kind of talking the talk, but we're walking the walk in when it comes to expressing our values and our beliefs. The next dimension is social. And again, this is about, developing a sense of connection. And for peers, again, for folks like me, for folks in long-term recovery, that connection and really being able to build connections is so important, because that being disconnected is a feeling and an experience that so many of us had for a really long time. And so, being able to build that support system, being able to have those people in your life that you can trust, who truly care about you and have your interest at heart, that is what we're talking about. Being able to establish and maintain positive relationships with family, friends, coworkers, all of those things. We know that our friends, we think about our support groups, you have all these people there that can encourage you and reinforce, our recovery walk and reinforce our wellness practices. And so it's very important to have and to be a part of community. That's the beautiful part about, our recovery community, is we can be with people with like interests who are moving, in the same direction. And we can be with folks in mutually respectful relationships. And so again, the value of that social wellness cannot be discounted. The next one we'll talk about, and this one is important to this conversation. All of these are, but this one we're talking about now is occupational wellness. And this has to do with satisfaction and enrichment that we gain through work. It's our ability to get personal fulfillment from the jobs that we do or the careers that we've chosen, and still being able to maintain a balance with life. And I know that's a huge order. I know for me, and I won't talk about any of my colleagues, Chris or some of the other people that are on here, that it can seem like the work part of it like takes a huge chunk out of the day, going to sleep with it on my mind, all of those kinds of things. And so finding that balance and maintaining that balance is huge. And at the same time, when we're talking about what gives life meaning and purpose, for me and for so many people that I know, this particular work, it's what we want to do. It gives us a real sense of meaning and purpose and thrill and excitement when we're able to support people, support others along their path towards recovery and wellness. And so, we gain a lot of happiness and our lives are enriched when we're able to do work that really is personally fulfilling. You can get up every day, when you like what you do and you get a sense of meaning and purpose from it, and coupled with that, it's not on the list, but financial wellness is another consideration. Are you satisfied, with your current financial situation, and what are your future plans? And, is this something that, you have a path laid out for? Are you doing work that allows you to have environmental wellness? Are you doing work that supports your spiritual wellness? All of these things, and we can see clearly how each of these factors overlap. The last dimension that we'll talk about is an intellectual dimension. Our muscle, that's like the most important brain muscle. Our brain is the most important muscle in the body, and we the intellectual wellness is about really stimulating ourselves, stimulating our minds, being creative, expanding what we know, and really discovering our potential, and just keeping our mind active and alive, and for so many people, when learning stops, that is, that's the end for a lot of people. And so being able to just challenge ourselves, like we said, to choose and to do something that stimulates our mind and activates our creativity along the way is what we're talking about when we're talking about intellectual wellness. I'll go on and talk a bit about some of the challenges and barriers to wellness. Thinking about that, we have, you see, poverty, living in poverty, when you're in survival mode all of the time. We know what happens to the body when we're in survival mode, when that fight or flight is always active, and so we know that that level of stress that comes from being in poverty, in survival mode, that level of stress is damaging to the body. We know that through what we've learned through trauma-informed care. The lack of access to quality food, the cost, it can be prohibitively expensive to eat healthy, and when we're talking about poverty, it's not always just about a lack of money, but it's also about a lack of time, right? If my time is spent, I can remember having a job that took me 2 hours on public transportation in one direction to get to. And so, 2 hours there, 2 hours back, 8 hours on the job. That's 16 hours, and so I have 8 hours left to get a good night's sleep and to do to stimulate my intellect and to do all of these other things. And so you can see clearly how, again, one of these things can impact the rest and make it difficult for us to maintain and to practice wellness. Another factor or barrier when it comes to thinking about our wellness is education. And this overlaps with poverty, right? What we know is Americans with more education live longer, healthier lives than those with fewer years of schooling. And you think about it, if you have a better education, and I know this isn't always the case, but talking generally, more education means you're likely to get a better paying job, right? Better paying job better job means, higher earnings, or a job with benefits, maybe you get to have some health insurance and things like that you wouldn't have on a lesser paying job. You have reduced stress because you have more money. So, you're able to live in better neighborhoods. You're not in that survival mode all of the time, and so we can see again how these things feed on each other, and can be barriers to our health and wellness. And then of course we know, and I won't really talk too much about it. We know about race and the disparities in healthcare and mental health care when it comes to racial and ethnic minority groups. We've talked about this in other webinars and things like that, so I won't talk about that too much. And then something else to really think about is our modern food supply. What's available, the food that we have, the nutrients. So we got fast food and things like that. It's quick and convenient. Pop it in the microwave and what have you. But what's the nutritional value in this food? And we're the supersized folks. So, more is better. And so just our whole kind of mentality around food and our food supply, and there's other things like, the way that our lives are now. We live more sedentary lives than, people did, years ago. And so all of these things, challenge us when it comes to maintaining our wellness. Next slide, please. The last thing, yay, we see here, and the thing, that we know is true is that it's never too late. We can always get in touch with, recovery. It's never too late to find recovery, and it's never too late to take care of and practice wellness. And just some of the examples, those things that are so inspiring. You know, there's an 80-year-old gentleman. His name is Wang Deshawn, and he's a fashion model. You know, he earned the nickname of hottest grandpa. You know, at 80, this guy is walking down the runway, you know, with no shirt. You know, or we think about a woman, extraordinary woman named Harriet Thompson, who she at 91 years old, she became the oldest woman to complete, you know, a 27-mile marathon, 27 miles. And she's a cancer survivor on top of that. You know, we have folks who, you know, we see the stories all the time of people going back to school, you know, and at 90, earning degrees. Maybe it was a dream that they had as a youth and started, you know, they started school. This particular instance that I'm thinking about, this lady, she started undergraduate school when in the 1930s, and she earned her bachelor's degree at the age of 95, y'all. And so, you know, my point is, it's never too late, you know, to take interest and continue to do what we need to do to support our wellness and our well-being. And with that, I'll give it to Chris.
Thank you, Roz. And, you know, the understanding that there are different ways to define and to achieve wellness is sort of fundamental to understanding what the absence or the lessening of wellness looks like over time. For me, it is helpful to visualize my wellness as like piles of sand that I have constructed and maintain. It's rare that a wave or a gust of wind will ever be strong enough to wipe away my wellness entirely. I keep a close eye on it. And on the rare occasion when that might happen, there are people around me who will be able to see as clearly or even more clearly than me that my wellness is missing. But you know, what is more common in my experience is the very gradual erosion of my wellness, you know, grain by grain of that sand, that wellness, so that it's barely noticeable either to me or the people around me, at least at first, right? We may continue seeing wellness there long after it has started to disappear because we expect to see it, right? We know that I am, as a peer specialist, someone who works on my recovery and wellness. I talk about it all the time. You know, I support others in their recovery and wellness. I know all the words, right? I've been to the workshops, in the support groups, in the meetings, read the books. I'm a peer specialist, right? Wellness is part of my identity. So there are lots of lists, right? As most of you know, they're everywhere, like signs of what to look for. So let's look at some of these. Excessive worrying or fear. What does that look like? Who decides? My maternal and paternal grandparents were all farmers near Rents in Cabell, Georgia, and they lived about 10 miles from each other. Now, if there was a big storm that came up out of nowhere after supper and there was no time to do anything to prepare, my paternal grandparents would open up a couple of cans of beer and turn on the TV and let it go. My maternal grandparents would immediately start praying and worrying and calling the neighbors, trying to get a sense of what the sky looks like over there. And my maternal grandparents never believed that my paternal grandparents were worried enough. My paternal grandparents believed that my maternal grandparents wasted time worrying. So who was right? I don't know. The point is, we need to make sure when we are creating these tools to measure our wellness, and for others to measure our wellness, that we have a baseline that we're measuring from that's understood by anyone who might be using the tool. You know, when Roz was talking before about, the 7 dimensions of wellness, one of the things that stuck out to me, especially with occupational, is the like voicemail message you get when you call different people. Like if you call someone in Europe who's on vacation, like, the voicemail message might say, I'll return your call in 2 months. Good luck. Whereas like here in America, you might get a voicemail message that says like, I'm so sorry I was unable to get your call. I'm at the hospital. I'll call you as soon as I'm out of recovery. Different cultures, different groups within different cultures experience these things differently. And we also need, looking at this list of activities, of changes, some of these may also be a sign of growing, right? Of changing. None of us ever stop changing or growing. We may be more settled in some of our ways over time and have deeply established habits and patterns and choices, but we continue to change. Thinking about what if I could only have a career from a list of careers I created when I was 8, right? What if I could only eat my favorite foods from a list I wrote when I was 10? What if I only have friends that I would have chosen when I was 16? Lists can be very helpful. Lists can also be very limiting. We all continue to change, and what our wellness looks like will continue to change as well. So what I needed in terms of support from professionals, from my peers, from my community, looked very different at 1 year than it did at 10 years, right? So it's up to me to make sure that my trusted circle of friends, my trusted supports, know what has changed, right? That they are informed as I go along what I need from them. Okay. As a peer specialist, I'm allowed to make mistakes, right? We are all allowed to make mistakes, but at times it can feel like there's incredible pressure on us to be perfect. And we just don't have to be. As a peer specialist, I am allowed to grow and change, right? I am allowed to develop new outlooks, beliefs and values and opinions. I am part of a workforce, a community that recognizes each of us is on an inherently and uniquely personal recovery and wellness pathway. Right? We all started from different places, and most of us have different goals. So while there's definitely times when we're on the path together, sometimes we will be apart, but it's important for me as a certified peer specialist to know that I am not alone, whatever that pathway looks like. So we are going to hear from our colleagues about some different opportunities for making sure we're on a good pathway. RAP and WHAM are awesome. I hope Denise has lots of good information to share. I know she does. And with that, I am going to pass it on to my friend, Pam.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chris. My name is Pam Brooks Crump, and I am a person in long-term recovery. And what that means for me is that it's been 24 years in March that my mental health and my substance misuse have not interfered in my life. And during that time, I have learned incredible tools and I have a very full toolbox. And because of those tools, which we're talking about today, I do have a thriving life. I'm a wife of 34 years. I've been married to the same man for 34 years. I have 3 adult children. Really my most proudest achievement is that I have broken cycles of abuse, trauma, and substance misuse in mental health stigma that was in my family for generations. And I'm the trauma informed care project coordinator for Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network, and I am love my job and love my life today. And I'm really glad to be here. And I was asked to talk about spirituality, and I love this topic. And I'm going to talk to you about 5 different areas that for me are about spirituality. And actually for me, spirituality is all. It's all. So it's these are 5, but for me, it really encompasses everything, all of life, all of mystery, all encompassing. So, and one thing that's really cool about breath, it is not only my number one tool that I take out of my toolbox, but also in many languages, the word breath and the word spirit are actually the same word. In Hebrew, in Hindi, in Greek, in Latin, there is the same word can mean breath, spirit, and or life. And so I think it's such a powerful, not only a powerful word, but a powerful thing, and a powerful tool. And so this tool, what I have said here is it takes us from the stress response to the relaxation response. And this is so important for all people. But as CPS's certified peer specialist, this is something that we're role modeling for other people, and so we learn about this in certification, and to get from the stress response, which is, I'm going to describe what it is to go to the relaxation response. All right, so I start to take deep breaths and it slows down my heart rate. It also decreases my blood pressure, starting to sound good. It also gets the response hormones that are stress, cortisol, gets it to feel good hormones like dopamine. And so these are the things that actually the breath, the spirit, the life, it starts to get me into a relaxation. So if you will join me, and this is in honor of my grandfather, Tom, adopted grandfather, who said, he is of a descendant of the Yuchi tribe, Native American, and he said, we don't breathe deep enough in this country. We're just holding our breath up here. So if you would just, we're going to do 7 in, 7 out, just a few times. Usually I would do 7, 7, but just for today, we'll just do a few in, just on your own, 7 in, 7 out. Let's just do that together, say 3 times. Just on your own, breathe in 7 and breathe out 7. Breathe in 7 and breathe out 7. Breathe in 7 and breathe out 7. Wow. All right, next slide, Chris. Okay, so the next is the body is the miracle. And this is connecting with my knowledge, my guidance, my intuition. And I have put the slide here that is my mom. My mom is 87. This was just the other day. I mean, the body is a miracle. The body is the miracle. And so when these go in order. So as I breathe, I connect with this body, right? This body, this mind, all here, this body temple. And when I get to here, I call it setting down into my body. Okay. And that's what I do when I breathe. I sit down into my body. And when I do this, what I'm gonna hear is, for example, Pam, you are overextending. Oh, okay, sit back. All right, I'm overextending. Oh, okay, sit back. Pam, I can hear this within the guidance. It tells me you're too hungry, you're too lonely, you're too tired. And when I am up here, out of my body, then I am losing what is the knower, the intuition, the guidance. And up here, I'm going to make decisions that are not based in my knowing, my guidance. And my breath helps to get me here. My breath helps to get me here. And so it is, for me, this is spirit, which is my breath, which is my life, that helps me to guide me through life. And so we are given these miracles, but we have to listen to them. You know, it is time to rest, Pam. Put your phone down and don't bring it with you in the bed and go on Facebook or on TikTok for an hour and a half when you're going to sleep, because that's going to interfere with your sleep. This is knowing that comes from here. If we will take the time to listen, to take the time, and it's not that complicated. I mean, it is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple, because I can go back in and I will know. I will know. And I want to just say, if some people, and myself included, in early recovery, I was like, wait, I don't know what you're talking about. Getting into my body, but I practiced and practiced just by the breath coming in, and then I began to know. I began to hear that intuition, and I had that knowing. And I don't have it perfectly all the time, but I do, with practice, not with perfect, but with practice, daily practice. I hear that, those answers and that knowing. Okay, Chris, next slide. So this takes me right into the next. So I am in my body, right? I am hearing, and I often hear, for me, go and sit in nature. This was at the Redwoods last summer in California, and talking about majestic, watching nature, and these trees that have been here for hundreds of years, wider than six big men across. It just, I mean, absolutely amazing. And what I see and hear in nature is a role model for us, to watch the flow of nature, to sit by a river, to walk, to even, like, if you don't have a river close, what about a park? And if you don't have a park, what about grow yourself some flowers, grow yourself some tomatoes. Even if you live in a small little apartment, you can still grow something and see that from a seed, my father-in-law, God rest his soul, he passed many years ago, but when I first met my husband Gary in Mexico, his father had put toothpicks in an avocado seed, okay? And you like put the seed like right in a glass right here, and the toothpicks hold it up like that. Well, he let it root, and then he planted it in Guadalajara. I want you to know that that one tree, one seed gave 2,000 avocados a year. One tree, one seed. I mean, and that it just, if you want to see abundance, if you want to see life in motion, watch nature. And for me, it just gives me to hear the birds, to see the bees pollinating, the wasps pollinating, the worms. It is just, then I know that we are not alone, that there is this spirit within all of us, nature, and all of us, we are nature. We're just not alone. Next slide. All right, so as I get from watching nature, I see that there is a balance. There are seasons. That fabulous avocado tree that I was just mentioning, it's not pushing all out all the time. It also in the winter comes back in. And so when I look at balance of work life as a CPS, and I see that there is a rainbow. It's not just something like, oh my gosh, it only happens every once in a while that we can get to a work-life balance. No, you can get to that work-life balance if you do these steps. For me, if I am breathing, if I am into my body, if I am watching nature, I also can have a beautiful balance. Do I do it perfectly? No, but it is in that practice of a balance, because what I know to be true, because I've tried it, that we give out, right? We give out eventually. So what I want to do is I want to fill up and give from the abundance. So what I have done, and I practice in my life, is to go and fill up. And I, from all of the steps that I take, that the Spirit shows me for that work-life balance. And if I am in stress, if I go back in, I will hear, okay, once I get to that relaxation, you see how all these move together for me? I get back into that relaxation mode, and then I am not looking through life like through a keyhole of fight or flight anymore, and that I'm the only person that can do this particular thing. I'm the only CPS. No, I begin to hear, no, really, Pam, you're not. And so it's time to fill up and rest. And then there becomes this beautiful balance, And again, if I get off, I can and I'm off balance, I can come back in and then recreated again to the work-life balance, the work-life balance. All right. Next slide, please. And so this is the last of the 5. And here, this was, this is so beautiful. I just want you to know, it fills my heart so much. My, oh goodness, so filled up here. This is I call processing. I don't call it tears anymore, just processing. It's just beautiful to see that relationships in recovery, what can happen and how they are restored, and that relationships. This is my son, Tomas. He's 22 years old, and that's me in the middle, you see, and then my husband, Gary, on the right. My son, for the very first time in his entire life, now he has the first time, and this was just the other week on July 4th weekend, he invited us into his world. He was in a cabin up in Tallulah Gorge, and he invited us, and he called me and he said, well, he texted me first and he said, Mom, FaceTime me as soon as you can. So I FaceTime him and he said, oh my gosh, Mom, you have got to come up here. And he's up there with his girlfriend for the weekend and some other friends. And he says, Mom, you just got to come up here and look at the view from the porch here. And so it was just, it is such a thrill for me to restore relationships. And this actually combines all that I have been talking about today. In relationships, the relationships are just so important to me, and family and friends, and how am I supporting others? How am I supporting my son? How am I supporting my husband, my other children, my friends, my colleagues? How are they supporting me in this beautiful relationship of balance? And you see how it naturally happens, and it is like the breath. It is a give and a take, and a beautiful relationship is formed. And we're not alone. We are not alone on an island. We're not alone on an island. So we were not supposed to do this alone. And I just think that for me, all of this spirit, breath, life, that we have been given, us that are in recovery, it's like I've been reborn. When I discovered that recovery was possible. And for this, I'm just so grateful, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share my spirituality with you today. Thank you so much. And I am going to turn it over next to Denise, my colleague, who is one of those support relationships that I adore.
Thank you, Pam. Hi, my name is Denise Hardy, and I have been in long-term recovery from mental health challenges. And what that means to me is that I no longer question my existence on this earth. I know that I have worth, and I have some assignments to do. I'm a mother, a grandmother, I'm an auntie, I'm a sister, I'm a niece, and I'm an employee and a small business owner. I fully show up in my life, all areas of my life. I now know that there are things I can do to maintain and be fully present in my life's assignment. I show up and support. Is my life perfect? No, it's in progress. I do have purpose and determination to support someone along their recovery journey. And I am on a journey to make a difference in the world, looking to serve and help people. Thank you. Now, I will be talking about rap, what is RAP? I am the RAP coordinator, statewide RAP coordinator for the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network. RAP is a prevention and wellness process that anyone can use to get well, stay well, and make their life more the way they want it to be through a series of tools and action plans. In RAP, we believe there are no limits to recovery and wellness. And I'm now going to talk about the 5 key recovery concepts. That is the foundation of RAP. Hope for me, as I utilize it in my life on a daily basis, sometimes we all experience some health and mental health situations and difficulties in our life. And, hope helps me to hold hope for myself and for the other peers that I support. And it also helps me to be able to mentor people and to support people, because without hope, we don't have anything. And it helps me to also to gain a better control of my life, knowing that just because a thing is happening today, that don't mean that I can't hope for tomorrow. And to be able to be a change maker and a change agent in supporting people in hope, and realizing that hope is what has gotten me here. So that's very important part for my wellness and my recovery. Personal responsibility. I had to one time realize that I am responsible for myself. Taking on that responsibility for my own care, reaching out for help, the more and the changes that I make in my life, knowing that I do have a support system that is out there to help me. And being able to just take responsibility for my life, and encouraging others as they are going through their recovery journey to take personal responsibility for things that happen, being in charge of my life. And the third one is education. I learned all I can about recovery maintenance and making good decisions about all aspects of my life. And I often tell people that RAP changed my life. At a difficult time, and I was going through some difficulties in my life, and I had to realize that I needed to learn more so that I can support myself and support others. And I needed that education to learn how to support myself in my own recovery. Education is very important. I often tell people that I like to look up things on the computer if I don't know something, or go to one of my colleagues, or go to my support system, so that I can be educated about my mental illness and everything that encompasses. Self-advocacy. Effectively reaching out to others and expressing my needs. I remember one time in my life, I felt like I didn't have a voice, that I couldn't ask for things that I needed in my recovery. And I was not at that point to just go and ask for help or ask for what I needed in my recovery. And not realizing that was a huge part of, being able to live a life in wellness, being able to maintain my wellness, being able to be able to support myself and position myself to help others as well. Self-advocacy, being able to ask for things that I want and I need to maintain my life and to have the best quality of life that I can. Support is a biggie for me. Being able to already working towards my recovery, being able to have a support system in place that I can reach out. So from being able to have a support in place that I can reach out to others, and that others also can reach out to me, and honoring the people that supports me, being able to have those 5 support systems, and being able to know that, recognizing that those 5 support systems can help me to have a better quality of life, and it also be able to help me to give back what was so freely given to me, and enhance my quality of life. So support is huge in peer support. whether it's working, relationships or whatever, knowing that support is very, very important. So those are the 5 key recovery concepts. Those are the foundations for RAP. RAP was developed and created by Mary Ellen Copeland. Her and some consumers got together and they came up with some of the things that was needed in their lives. So I did want to say that RAP was developed by Mary Ellen Copeland. I am the statewide RAP coordinator. What that means is I support trainings throughout the state of Georgia. And there are no limits to recovery and wellness. Some of the benefits that I've gotten from RAP, I have, it has increased my personal confidence. I used to didn't have much confidence, but now I am confident and be able to go up and talk to others and support others. I have a greater willingness to ask for help. Because back in my first stages of recovery, I wouldn't ask for help. I felt like I had to do it for myself. All by myself, I felt like I was alone. But now I realize that I'm not alone and that I can ask a number of people for supports and be confident in it. It's a better overall physical and mental health. And ultimately, my greatest strengths come from within. As I remember each day that I can start over, and even in the midst of suffering, I can find meaning to remember it too, this too shall pass. The RAP is a 2-day training that it's an 8-hour training that supports individuals in creating a life they want. Recovery is possible and it is real. Don't give up on our dreams. You can live a meaningful life with purpose. Now my life is so purposeful. I get up with a meaning and have an aim to do my job. I really love my job with the network and the works that I do to be able to support others. And it also increases my quality of life as I'm giving back to others. And also being able to fulfill all the roles in my life that I have as the mother, the grandmother, the employee, the sister, the auntie, the entrepreneur, just being able to identify these 5 recovery concepts and live by them in my daily life. And some wellness and some self-care tips that I use. I enjoy reading inspirational books. I enjoy writing in my journal. I pray. I say no to situations that that I'm uncomfortable with. I love my coffee. Talking to my mentors and thinking about how awesome my future is going to be. I have an expectation about my future and being able to use the 5 key recovery concepts and knowing that wellness is very important. And we do know that RAP is supported in volunteering, being non-judgmental, reciprocity, and having integrity. And relying on those 5 key concepts, just having that check-in to go back to make sure that I'm using those as a foundation for my recovery. Slide. WHAM. I am the WHAM coordinator for the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network. WHAM is a peer-led intervention to facilitate self-management to reach whole health goals through peer coaching and support groups. WHAM is awesome. I really, really love WHAM. It's a method of utilizing the power of peer support to support healthcare delivery. It is a 2-day training, a 12-hour with a book that's was facilitated by the Appalachian Consultant, funded by SAMHSA. WHAM encouraged me to gain faith and confidence that I can manage my health when my health was way out of control and I felt like, okay, this is it. I don't have any other way to go. I became WHAM certified whole health wellness coach in 2012. It supports the peer workforce to use person-centered planning and weekly action plans to create new healthy behaviors. The primary goal of WHAM is to teach skills to support peers to better self-manage chronic physical health conditions and behavioral challenges to achieve whole health. So it means just what it says, whole health action management. Some of the benefits of engaging in whole health action plan. There are 10 whole health and resiliency factors. But for the time's sakes, I just put 5 on the screen. So we have stress management, we have physical activity, we have spiritual practice and beliefs, healthy eating, service to others, and restful sleep, optimism based on positive expectation, cognitive skills to avoid negative thinking, and spiritual beliefs and practices, a sense of meaning and purpose. Those are the 10 whole health and resiliency factors that the WHAM is based on. And just for time's sake, I will talk about the stress management. I remember when my stress level was just so high, so up there that I could barely function. But just learning how to manage my stress has been a whole lot of growth for my wellness. I've learned to grow by managing my stress, being able to know that, okay, I can't control everything, but I can control how I respond to everything. So being able to manage my stress so that I can have a better quality of life for its health, because we do know that sometimes with stress, it creates other physical problems. Physical activity. I thought that when I hear physical activity or exercise, it sounded better when I hear physical activity. So now I'm actively engaged in doing a walking program for 30 minutes. After so many years of my physician pleading with me to get some physical activity or exercise, he would call it. Now I'm walking boldly in that and getting some at least 30 minutes exercise on a daily basis. Spiritual practices and beliefs. Being able to recognize that my spiritual practices and my beliefs are mine and mine alone. And I choose to practice that to be able to help myself stay calm, to go to a higher power, higher than me, and being able to practice those spiritual things that I enjoy. Healthy eating. Healthy eating, at one time in my life, I would eat like maybe 10 whole, let's just say 12 donuts. I have long since moved from eating those 12 donuts. Now I have only healthy things into my house. I know that because eating healthy is a very, very important part of my wellness, because it assists me in decreasing all the other chronic diseases that could occur from me with my unhealthy eating. So now my healthy eating consists of avocados, bananas, spinach, no sugar in the house, no bread. So that's very important for me in my recovery and resiliency factors of being able to eat healthy. And service to others. I love, love, love service to others. I love to give back. It makes me it fills me with so much joy. And it just put me with that wellness factor, just to be able to be of service to others, support others, mentor others, be able to give back to what was so freely given to me, being of service in my church, being of service in the community, being of service with the people that I mentor, just being of service to anyone who I feel might need a lifting up, a lifting up. So those are the 5 WHAM recovery and resiliency factors that are important to me. Of course, there is 10. And being able to participate in the WHAM, you would need to work on a whole health goal, engage in peer support to reach your whole health goal, participate in a WHAM peer support group that meets weekly for at least 8 weeks. And I think that's it for WHAM, for my presentation, and just recognizing the importance of WHAM. And it's funded through the SAMHSA and National Council, are the entity that we connect with to bring WHAM to different organizations. And for the WHAM Whole Health Action Management, from the CPS point of view, you would need to be a certified peer specialist to attend WAM and working and be able to work on a whole health goal. And that ends my saying. I do want to leave a good quote. At the end of the day, tell yourself gently, I love you. You did the best you could today. And even if you didn't accomplish all you had planned, I love you anyway. And thanks, guys, for listening. I will now hand it off to Chris Dowling, my colleague.
Hey, everybody. I'm glad to be here today. So first off, my name is Christopher Dowling, and I am a person in long-term recovery. And what that means for me is that it's been over 6 years since my mental health and substance use challenges have stopped me from living a purposeful life. And amazingly, it allows me to be a friend, a husband, and a parent today, which are all the things that I never thought I would be. So I was asked to do the dual recovery, kind of talk about it a little bit. And I think the best way to discuss it is kind of share a little bit about how it's affected my life in a positive way and how it's led to who I am today. And again, the best place to start is at the beginning. And through dual recovery and the different pathways of recovery, I don't have shame or guilt to share any part of my story. So really, my mental health stuff started, I was about 7 years old. It was my first hospitalization. My mom had just given me away to the system. And even before that happened, I recognized that the way I viewed the world was different. The way I felt, my feelings were different. My perception of the world was different. And I really think that a lot of that came from the rampant drug use and mental health that was already going on in my family. My mom had me as she was a teenager, dealt with drug use. There was abuse of all kinds. There was codependency. And then, like I said, by the age of 7, I was given away and I went through the foster care system and a mental health system. Unfortunately, that hospitalization at the age of 7 was not the first hospitalization I had. After that, I probably had close to 100 hospitalizations up until the point of when I found recovery. Even my experimentation with drugs started about 9 to 10 years old, and a lot of it was self-medicating for me. And then I was actually, I didn't really know what dual recovery was until probably about 2015 when I came into recovery this past time. Now, I know what dual diagnosis was for ways on either the mental health or the addiction. It was never on both for me. Sorry if my internet sounds a little unstable. And so, yeah, I never worked on both of those. I always try to work on one or the other. And it left me worse than what I was. I felt defeated. I felt down. I felt worthless. My self-worth was low. My relationships were broken. I couldn't hold a job. I ended up going on a disability when I was 21 years old. And for the most part, they told me that's how my life would be. I'd be on disability, I'd be on medication. And that was the quality of life that was given to me. So again, and then we fast forward to 2015. There was a peer support wellness and respite center where I moved to here in Moultrie, Georgia. And I signed up with that center and they told me about a meeting called Double Trouble in Recovery. Now at this time, I'd only really known about traditional 12-step meetings. As you see a list of some of the things that have supported my dual recovery. Alcoholics Anonymous was one of the biggest things that tried out for me. And I know most people, if you're familiar with that, you probably think, well, how was that able to work in my dual recovery? And I was blessed that the person that helped me go through the steps at that time also was dual diagnosed, also dealt with was in dual recovery. And so as I worked those steps, I was actually able to also work my mental health and the addiction part of my life. And I started to see a change immediately in me. And just being able to find some acceptance and have somebody listen to me. And so then I went to the Double Trouble recovery meetings, and I would sit and I would listen and I would participate. And I would start to see these different pathways of recovery. And it started opening my mind, because I was so, from where I started at, that's what was close to me, was 12-step meetings and doing these things, that I never thought about a personal recovery. What was recovery to me? And I started seeing what everybody else was doing and what was working for them. And it really started opening my mind to those things. I finally started dealing with mental health challenges, and I was also dealing with the addiction disease challenges also. I started realizing I wasn't these labels and these diagnoses that was given to me my whole life. So at this time, I was going through both traditional 12-step, and I was doing Double Trouble recovery, and I was coming to the centers. And I felt something that I felt a blockage, probably about 3 years in my recovery. I felt like I needed to expand a little bit, especially when it came to my spirituality and different things like that. And so, being aware of these different pathways, I just kind of threw myself into it. Celebrate Recovery was something I got into to kind of help with my spirituality. We have an all recovery and a y'all recovery non-12-step meeting that they do at the centers, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I felt a comfortability with that. Al-Anon was something to help with my codependency and growing up as a child of alcoholic and an addict. And as I go through these things, I was looking and I was like, these all contribute to my mental health. The way I grew up, the codependency around me, the way I saw what I thought was healthy relationships, the way I viewed spirituality, the way I viewed God. All these things played a big old part in that. And from the beginning, there was some confusion with it. I didn't know who I was, and my mind was always all over the place. But as I grew in recovery, and especially as I started going to dual recovery meetings, I saw what my life could be. Towards the beginning of doing the dual recovery meetings, I actually started working at the Peer Support Wellness and Respite Center. I eventually became full-time. And these were all the things I was able to accomplish because I was working on my mental health, and I was working on those things that in the past used me to self-medicate. And as I was able to deal with those things and have that connection, have that support around me, I was able to see that I didn't have the need to cover up those emotions anymore. I didn't have to use drugs or alcohol or cut myself or anything like that. That I had tools and I had all these things available to me to be able to work through those. And the more challenges that I was able to overcome, and I didn't have to get high, I didn't have to go to the hospital, it gave me more courage and strength to go on to the next challenge. And, these things have allowed me to live the life I have today. And I live a pretty simple life. I work and I have a family at home, and I have friends, and I enjoy really the small things in life now. I don't have these big ideas of all these things that I need to do. I'm happy with the small things I do. I'm happy with being able to have a home to go back to after work and to have a job to go to. I really try to keep gratitude at the forefront. A lot of these things I have today are the same things I cried out for when I was in the perils of my mental health and of my addiction. And as I said on this panel today, every one of these people on the panel with me played a huge part in my recovery. Roz, Pam, CJ, Denise, and Miriam, they all played parts in my recovery at different parts, at different times, and in different spots in my journey. And today, I am able to see the growth from others in the dual recovery meetings I facilitate and that I'm a part of, I'm able to see how having different pathways to recovery is important. You know, a few of the keys that stick out to me that was so important to my recovery and to others who have shared their story and their experience and their journey with me is connection. You know, having that connection with somebody, having understanding for and toward, you know, for and me and for other people, patience, being able to give it that space to just explore myself, being open-minded. And one of the biggest things for me and for people that know me is humor. Humor has played a huge part in my recovery. You know, the things that I cried about at one time, I can actually laugh about and be able to find the humor in today. And as I was saying, at our centers we have here in Georgia, we have DTR meetings. We have all recovery meetings. When the pandemic started, we actually we started doing our online meetings through Zoom. And so on our website, you know, you'll be able to find our wellness activity schedule, and you see that we have DTR meetings and we have all recovery meetings. And we even have a full Double Trouble and recovery side that have their DTR meetings also. And so today I'm able to have that, and you know, to be able to sit here today, to be able to share with you guys, to be able to tell you the amazing things about dual recovery. These were all, if it wasn't for dual recovery and for these other pathways, I want to be able to do that today. And I want to go ahead and leave y'all with a little quote of my little quote for y'all. And it's real simple. It says, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. My past does not define me. I have those tools and I'm able to shape my future for myself." So thank y'all for that. And I think we're going to pass it on to Miriam now. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Chris. That was very inspiring as usual. Um, Hello, everybody. My name is Miriam Abdulaziz, and I am also a person in long-term recovery, from mental health challenges. What that means to me, has been 15 years since I've allowed my mental health to stop my forward progress in life. At one time, I was barely hanging on to hope. I was alone, detached, and overcome by symptoms. But today, I look forward to another day and I experience positive experiences and I look forward to the joy that each day brings. Today, I have been married for 18 years to the same man, and who has seen me through my worst and is now seeing me through my best. Today, I have the amazing responsibility of guiding and raising two beautiful girls to be responsible, positive contributors of this world. And today, I am a valuable employee of the Georgia Mental Health Consumer Network as a certified peer specialist. And I also get the opportunity to support other peers as they become certified peer specialists. Today, I facilitate the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, and I'm also a whole health and wellness coach. Today, although I don't have an absence of symptoms, I have learned to manage those symptoms, and I have actually made them work for me. So I just want to say that I'm excited to be here. And I'm going to dig right into the first part of the presentation, which talks about connection. And basically, what it just talks about is that there is an intense connection between your mind, your body, and your spirit. And I think everybody on here, all the presenters, touched on this a little bit, including Roz and Pam and Denise and Chris. But I just wanted to kind of talk about how this connectiveness literally intertwines with each other and how one thing directly correlates with another. So they all flow together and they directly affect each other. So when one part is down, like for example, your body and your physical health, it can also affect your spiritual health as well as the health of what's going on with your mind. And vice versa to that, when one thing is up, like your spiritual wellness, it really uplifts your body as well as it uplifts your mind. And so when you realize that those things, three things go hand in hand, there's ways to pick each other up, pick each of those groups up, and to uplift them individually, which will then uplift them collectively. So they really do feed off of each other.
Hi, Miriam.
Yes, hi.
Thank you for just sharing about the interconnectedness with the mind, body, and spirit. You know, everything that everyone's had to say today has been really, really, really impactful and hugely important. And I know that the rest of what you have to say would be that as well. We might have to consider how we can, you know, do part 2 of this webinar so that we can, you know, hear and see all of it is that you have to share with us. Thank everybody for presenting, and unfortunately we are like at the end of our time. I apologize to you, and I'll turn it back over to Emily.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. That's going to unfortunately be the end of our webinar today. We are out of time. I am going to put our evaluation survey link into the chat for everyone to access. And so that should now be in the chat. I'm also going to go ahead and just share my screen super quickly so that everyone can see the link to our evaluation survey and to the QR code that's there on your screen. So the Southeast MHTTC would like to thank everyone for your participation in today's event. We value your feedback and invite you to evaluate us today. Please complete a brief SAMHSA required survey by visiting the link presented on your screen. Completion of this survey will provide information to SAMHSA and assist us in planning future events. Afterwards, you will be automatically redirected to additional questions from the Southeast MHTTC regarding the impact of this event on your knowledge and skills. There you will have the opportunity to download a certificate of attendance for your records. Please allow about 5 to 10 seconds for your browser to redirect you. Again, our center appreciates your participation and feedback. We hope you will join us for future events. Please visit our website to learn more. That will conclude today's presentation. Thanks so much, everyone.